So yesterday in class, we got all of our data for this bird beak lab, right? If we did not get all of our data, or I know there were some classes we did not get to all 8 trials for everyone, or if you were not here yesterday, there is sample data posted in Classroom that you can use. Just go ahead and fill that out. The sub should have extra copies of this whole lab packet for you. This is also posted in Classroom. So we went ahead, we got all of our data. All 4 of these tables here are filled out, right? So we have all 4 of our birds. What your job today is to do is that we need to answer our conclusion. We need to write our conclusion, answer our analysis questions, and make a graph. I would recommend by starting to make this graph. There is an example graph drawn on the board. Just make sure you guys are using a line graph. You're not making a bar graph. Use these hints up here. So make sure you have a title. I will be taking points off if you do not have a title. That your axes labels are correct. So we should have our number or our round numbers down here. So we did 8 rounds, so it should go 1 through 8. And our amount of food up on the y-axis. You will have to determine what scale you need to go by to get to the number that you need. um, when you are making your graph, you are only graphing the number of items eaten by your bird. You are only graphing the bird that you were yesterday. If you were 2 birds yesterday because you were in a group of 3, choose whichever one you like the best. Then you are going to make this graph. Make sure you fill out your key and that you are using 5 different colors. You should have 5 different lines on your graph, one for each of our food items. There are colored pencils in the back of the classroom if you need to use those. If you have your own markers, go ahead and use those. Otherwise, I just have colored pencils out. Once you are done with this graph, it is then going to help you make your conclusion. Everyone should have a hypothesis filled out at the top of our data table right up here. Remember, we filled out if there's a relationship between beak and food, then the blank bird will eat the most blank food. You are going to tell me, did this data that you collected, so in your data table and on your graph, did it support or not support your hypothesis? And rewrite your hypothesis. Then you need to tell me 3 pieces of evidence that led to your conclusion of whether or not it supported or did not support. You need to be writing this in full sentences. You should have at least 1 sentence for each piece of evidence. When we're looking at evidence, I'm looking for numbers, I'm looking for explanation, things like that. So look at how many pieces of food were actually eaten by the bird that you made a hypothesis about. Did that bird die? Did it survive to the end? Did it tend to eat a different type of food than what you thought? All of that is great evidence that we can use. Then you're going to tell me 1 error or flaw that you noticed of the experimental procedure. Our procedure, again, is posted in Classroom. It is this second page here in our document. You can tell me 1 flaw and tell me how you think you could fix this, right? Be reasonable. Do not say something like, let's get the actual birds in here. Remember, this is still a high school lab, right? We need to be reasonable. Once you have all of this done, you need to answer your analysis questions. Analysis question 1, which bird or birds seem to be the best adept at picking up? And then it has each of the foods. Basically here, you're just looking at which bird picked up the most of each type of food. That is what the column for totals here helps with. So whichever bird has the most beans, they're the most adept at picking up those, and so on. Then the bird that seemed least adapted to picking up each of those, we're looking for the lowest number. Tell me which bird or birds survived to the end, which food was the toughest to pick up for all the bird types. So this one, we're looking for the lowest number in all of the birds. Which bird died off first? Number 6, in this lab, what is the selection pressure? So this, you are going to be thinking about what caused you to change your tactics, what caused you to change, or what caused birds to die off, because excuse me, what caused the birds to die off, what caused you to change your tactics or change, have you moved to a different food source. That is what is our selection pressure. That pressure is what is making natural selection happen. Then define the term natural selection. You can use your notes for this, just make sure you're answering all in full sentences. And number 8, suppose a drought caused the local extinction of all insects, slugs, and clams. So looking at our procedure up here, insects are noodles, slugs are beans, and clams are pennies. This allowed the drought-resistant deep stick bug to grow in their absence, which lives 12 centimeters underground. Using your knowledge of steps of natural selection and the beak variations used in this lab, explain how the change of environment would affect the populations of birds. Which birds would best fit this new environment, and why? You need to explain your answer. This should not be a one-word answer. This should not be a one-sentence answer. You need to tell me which bird you think would benefit from these new deep stick bugs coming out. Which bird do you think would suffer, would not be able to eat these? And explain why you think that. If you do not explain your answer, you are not answering this question, right? We need to make sure we are reading the full question and answering the full question. Once you are done with that, that is all you need to do for this lab. This needs to be turned in by the end of the day today, which would be 5/9/2024. At the end of the day means 3:25 p.m., not 11:59 p.m., because this is a physical paper lab. You cannot turn it in at midnight. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I will be checking my email periodically throughout the day. I cannot guarantee that I will email you back or email you back right away. But if you have questions, let me know.